How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's doing good. Let's see. Get things set up here. Just a quick note in the chat room. Hey, man, I haven't been here for like, I don't know, 3 weeks because I was off relaxing on a beach, and yeah, last week I just got back, so wasn't really able to do a live last week. So yeah, glad that we're finally back. Sweet. Hope everyone's doing well. Jeff, Mr. Cole, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Excellent. Yup. Thanks for coming on. Mr. Francis. Linda, thanks for coming on. I'm not sure if I ever told you, Linda. I really want to name my daughter Linda, actually. Yeah, my mom's name is Linda, and my wife's from Brazil, and Linda in Portuguese means beautiful, and but my daughter's name is Jessica. I wanted to name her Linda Teresa, which is after my mom and my wife's mom, but my wife said she just couldn't see yelling at our daughter if it was named our mother's. So, I couldn't argue with that. So, I still like the name though. Maybe my granddaughter. Maybe I'll convince my daughter to name our daughter Linda. Anyway, small tangent. Sorry about that. Richard, thanks for coming on. Strong base driveways. Excellent. Thanks for coming on. Mr. Wolf is in the house. Thank you. So today, I thought it would be fun to kind of break away. I get this question a lot. Like, a lot of people are curious on sliders, right? And there are so many different options out there that I thought it would be fun to kind of look at what the options are and why there are so many different options, right? Because there isn't like one slider to rule them all. They all have their nuances, right? And we'll talk about, I guess, what is a slider? What can we use it for? And things of that nature. So I'll probably start off just by sharing my screen and probably going through some of the stacks on Weaverspace, and kind of just showing you demos and explaining and giving you maybe some tips and tricks on, some best practices on when to use this slider versus maybe when to use that one, right? So, and it really is just a kind of a personal preference because there are so many different options. They all have kind of different effects. The effect is a big thing, right? I mean, how things slide. You'll notice that while the effects on some are very similar, some have wildly different effects, right? And sometimes sliders give you that wow factor, right? Like you need something that's just like, wow, like that's kind of cool. It's different. It's interesting. So yeah, we'll see a lot of different things on how sliders can be interpreted or used. What sort of content can we put in a slider? And yeah, I have a lot of them. I actually didn't think I counted prior to this. I think I have a little over 10 different sliders. And some things are kind of like fringe sliders. Like I'll consider them a slider because they do kind of do a slideshow thing. But like I said, they're very different. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen. Let's hope that this works actually. Yes, and it's scaled properly. Woohoo! I did it right today. And I remember to scale my my display down before we started so that we don't have any issues. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go to Weaverspace. Voila. Okay, so we'll notice slap bam right on the. Whoa, gyro is not the deal of the week. Is it? I guess gyro is the deal of the week. Is it? What the heck's going on here? Oh. I will have to get on my minion. This is not correct. Oops. Because columnist is the deal of the week. And yeah, I will have to get on my minion because he's been adding some deals of the week for me for the future, and he's messed some things up. Bad minion, aka my son. Okay. I don't think I saw that. The deal of the week this week is columnist, everybody. It is not Markdown. So anyway, okay. First off, what I wanted to show on this page, I guess we'll kind of go through some various ways that I use sliders on Weaverspace. Okay. Here, let's start. Let's refresh the page. We'll start at the beginning. So when you go to this page, right? I do have to say that this is Moving Box. Okay, this is my Moving Box, and it I have to admit, it actually is a alpha version of version 3 that I'm still working on. But this is Moving Box, and the purpose of this slider is when someone comes to my webpage, okay, I want to give them a summary of what Weaverspace is about, right? So the first slide here just gives you, bam, welcome to Weaverspace. You know, we empower you to build amazing websites with zero code using RapidWeaver and Stacks. Boom. That is, you know, a nutshell what Weaverspace is about. Okay. But there's more to Weaverspace, right? So this is kind of like a story. I'm using the banner on this web page. Again, it's a slider. It's telling a story about Weaverspace. So I want to, hey, are you new to Stacks? Or are you new to RapidWeaver? Because there are someone that maybe you came to this website and you're new, right? You don't know what the heck is a stack? What is RapidWeaver, right? So I have a slide on that, right? Then we have award-winning stacks. We have 120 plus available stacks and all kinds of cool stuff, right? Then we have cool events, such as this one right now, where we learn, teach, we have some fun, right? Hopefully, you guys are going to join us on our Hangouts on Fridays, right? Where it's more interactive and live. And of course, our 3-day conference. And interesting enough, I was actually planning the dates for this year's conference. It looks like it's going to be October 22nd. So if you want to pencil that in on your calendars, this year's conference is going to be October 22nd to October 24th. So there we go. Okay. Full fun 3-day event. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. So then next up is we have designs, right? And something you might notice about this is, so these are, you know, inspirational designs that are made with Stacks, right? Websites designs. And then obviously we have a community, okay, which hopefully you are all members of the community, over at the community.weavers.space. And then we go back to the beginning. Okay. Now, something interesting is if you notice that set of slides, right? It pretty much is the summary of the menu. Okay. Obviously, I don't have a slide on support, right? But, you know, we have home, we have start here, which is, hey, start here. Are you new to Stacks? Start here, right? Then we have our Stacks, right? Which is the page that probably all have gone to that lists all of our products and all of our stacks. Then we have our events page, which corresponds to that event slide, the design gallery, and then about, which is, you know, I kind of put in the community on there. Okay. So as you see, that kind of gives you an overview of what this website is all about. Okay. So that kind of goes into, you know, at least one of my major use cases on a homepage for a slider is to really give a story about what your website is about. And I think sliders do that very, very well. Okay. I don't think I use sliders anywhere else on this homepage. I have, okay, this is Horizon down on the bottom. I am going to be talking about Horizon because some people feel it is a slider and it's one of those gray areas. Okay. So it does allow you to, in this case, I don't have any sort of animations going on. It's just a manual scroll. Okay. But, yes, we will be talking about, Horizon, which is another way of, you know, showing slides. I guess you can consider these multiple slides, In this particular instance, though, it's just a manual scrolling left and right. Okay. So other places that I use sliders is on the product pages. Let's go to photo. At the bottom, I believe, of every single product page, tutorials, reviews. Okay. So here at the bottom of every product page, I have reviews. Okay. Now photos is a pretty new stack. I don't have any photos specific reviews. Maybe let's go to foundation. And let's go to reviews. All right. So this is a slider of reviews. Okay. So here I have a bunch of reviews that I have injected into the slider, and essentially, I don't want to display all those out. It essentially is just a nice slider that kind of cycles through reviews, right? So that's another great use case of sliders, is to kind of showcase sets of things where you want to only show one at a time. You can even potentially not even show like the navigation, right? It could just be an element on the page that just kind of fades in and out between various, testimonials or, images maybe, where it's just kind of an accent, right? So that is a really good one, as well, is to, for user reviews or testimonials and things of that nature. I think I have one, I think it's on the designs gallery maybe. So here's an example in the designs gallery. I believe, pretty sure that is a slider, or is it just like a random? I forget oh, I designed this one to just be a random thing. So I thought I made this a slider, but here I just kind of randomly display one of the designs up here at the top. But I could have easily made that a slider, right? That kind of animated through and showed different designs on the page, or maybe a featured design or something like that, right? So that's another good use case. But I think that's really it in terms of sliders. I know I don't use a slider on this page. I don't have any. This is just the grid, right? There's no sliders at all on this page. Okay. Events, I don't think that's pretty static. There's no sliders there. The about definitely doesn't have any sliders. Hipster. Okay. And, support page. All right. So as you see, like, I think, one thing to think about is, so really I'm using sliders. I mean, even if you consider these horizon, if you notice I had a horizon on the product pages as well. Okay. So I have a horizon here. We'll consider that a slider just because a lot of people see it's a slider. I don't personally feel it's a slider. I just have to say that. It's a slider-esque container, but anyway, it's in the gray area. So that's one. I have two on the home page, and then I had two on the product page, right? Which was the testimonials. And then I had a related products or things you might also like thing at the bottom, right? Which is Horizon. So on my entire website, okay, minus obviously demos, I don't have any other sliders. Okay. And that's okay, right? But one thing where I'm going with this is I think a lot of people tend to try to use sliders to jam pack their web pages full of more content. Okay. And they do that not just with sliders, they do that with tabs and accordions and light boxes and all kinds of these UI components that allow us to condense our content into a smaller location. Okay. And I don't think that is necessarily a good thing. Okay. I think keeping things as simple as possible. And yes, sliders definitely have a use case. I think like in that designs page at the top, that would have been a perfect place for a slider actually, just to kind of show something different. Okay. And animate through various images. But again, I don't recommend we definitely, necessarily use sliders to display important content. If the content is extremely important, okay, it shouldn't be buried inside of a slider. I just wanted to, that's, a number one tip up front. Okay. Other things is, I guess I'm going with all the tips and tricks first here. I was going to save this to the end, but I'm kind of going down this rabbit hole. Here, let me just talk here. Next up is, where do we use sliders? Okay, if we notice where I used these sliders, it was kind of, it was within the layout of the content, within the layout of the page. I know that a lot of people try to put sliders in, like light boxes is a big thing, okay? And it inevitably, most of the time, doesn't work out well, okay? And the same thing happens if you try to hide a slider inside of like a tab that isn't the first tab, okay? And an accordion that isn't necessarily open on page load, okay? Why is that? Okay? Why do a lot of sliders, and I have to say, I originally used to like try to code to the tilt to try to like have all these situations work in terms of, oh, you can put our slider inside of a light box and it will magically work. But it just depends on code in the light box, on how it loads things. And essentially, with a slider, okay, you have to think, if you have it inside of a light box or inside of, and this is probably, generic for a lot of things, not just sliders, okay, but these JavaScript kind of dynamic objects, right, that are built using JavaScript, okay? Sorry if I'm getting geeky here, but essentially you have to think that we have multiple slides, and if those slides were on the page, okay, they would be on top of each other. Does that make sense, right? Just as we build those slides in edit mode, each slide is on top of each other, right? Because that's logically inside how things are built, right? And then we have JavaScript, which is like a scripting language in the browser that kind of puts those all on top of each other and allows us to animate them and, scroll them side by side and all that stuff. Okay, now the tricky part comes in when, like, let's say one slide has larger content than another slide. There's so many of these edge case scenarios, right? Where the JavaScript has to analyze the height of all the data and then make sure that it all fits, right? And some stacks have features to do that dynamic height, and it all depends on the slider stack. But a lot of times what it does, most sliders, what they do is they'll look at the first slide and then it'll base the height of at least the initial height of the slider based on the content within slide number one. Okay? It's a common thing. Now, if we have that slider, getting back to my original comment, if we have that slider hidden on page load, okay, and when something's hidden, it has a height of 0, right? So a lot of times when you open up a lightbox and you don't see your slider, it's because it's hidden on page load. So I took a long explanation to tell you kind of the reason why that happens is because, and again, some sliders can watch for, it depends on whether or not how the lightbox was encoded, but sometimes if a lightbox opens, it can trigger an event that the slider can then say, hey, look, I'm visible now, right? But again, that all depends on how the slider and the lightbox work together. A lot of times if it's the same developer like myself, I'll try to make those things work together. Again, it's not always possible, but I try my best. But with that said, I do recommend not putting sliders in lightboxes, sliders in tabs, because at that point you have complex UI components inside complex UI components. And sometimes people even go like tabs and tabs with a slider, right? Or something crazy like that. And keep things simple, right? I think that is it'll make your website cleaner. It'll make your website easier to navigate. It'll just make things better. Okay. And then things will work better too, because if you don't have a slider and a tab, it's not going to work too great. Okay. All the time. And even if you have tabs inside of tabs, a lot of times that's just that layer of complexity is just too great. I like having one level, or let's say two levels, right? I have my main website content, and then we could have tabs in there that can then have things, but never add a second layer inside of that, right? Just too complex, very confusing. I don't recommend it at all. Okay, so yeah, just some recommendations there. Okay, let's go back and let's start looking at some sliders here. I'm just gonna kind of go down the list here. Actually, I'm just gonna let's limit it a little bit by slide here. Okay. Some of these are sliders. Some of them necessarily aren't. I'm not sure why slide is coming up on some of these, but whatever. Okay. Superflex. This is a really nice stack. If you're familiar with it, it is from Nick Cates. I recently acquired it. Or recently re-released it. I think it was just this month, actually. I think it was at the beginning of June. I re-released this. And Superflex is pretty nice. Here, let's go ahead and I'm going to open up a project. We'll as I go through each one, we'll kind of talk about each one a little bit. Maybe chuck it out onto the page. I'm not going to go through every setting or do full tutorials on these things, but Superflex is nice. Here, let's go to the demo. One thing that's lovely about Superflex is it automatically creates you can automatically create this little kind of index down at the bottom, right? And you can slide between each one. Looks like I have an issue on this video one. I'll have to look into that. Maybe the video isn't loading for some reason. Oops, bug on me. Okay, but here you see you can create these kind of hero ones as well, where you have an image and then the text animates on top. Very nice, very elegant. I love the animated, or the index down here at the bottom. And as you see, Superflex does have kind of slide types. Okay, so here you can have, what's called, I think it was called hero, a hero slide. Superflex. So here we have Superflex. If we click on this, you go here, media type, hero, right? So it is hero. Here we have image, stack, hero, YouTube, Vimeo, Google Maps, and Instagram. Okay. Actually, curious. I wonder if Instagram still works, because YouTube, I mean, Facebook just broke a lot of that. But you give it a specific post and it'll bring in that image. Interesting. So that is nice. Now for stack data, this allows you to drag whatever stack you want, right? So here we have like a 3-column stack and headers, and you can really do all kinds of stuff, right? So it is a very nice one, right? And it is nice having data specific slides such as Google Maps here, or even this hero one or video. I'm not sure what happened to this YouTube video. I'll look into that. But it's nice having those specific ones. It makes it a little bit simpler instead of trying to have a Google Maps stack that you add into the, the stack thing. It does work, but then you'd have to have that content, right? You'd have to have that Google Maps stack to be able to add it into the stack-based slide. Okay. So yeah, I'm not gonna go through all the features, but I think this is a really nice slider. Okay. And as we go through these sliders, you'll notice that they're all very different, right? So essentially what I recommend you doing is find the one that works for your project that you're working on now and use that, right? If you're working on with any of my sliders, you have any ideas, you're like, hey, this slider has a feature that I like, I'd like to see it in this one, let me know. Sometimes that could be possible, sometimes not. So anyway, let me know. All right, let's go back. Post office definitely isn't a slider. Not sure why it's showing up here. My bad. Image safe. Oh wait, it didn't. There we go. Horizon. I'll go over this. This was I showed this one earlier. This is the way how we can have these horizontal scrolling containers. And as you see on this bottom one here, you can actually have it automated as well. Okay. Now what kind of makes it more slider-esque? If we go to foundationstacks.com, you'll notice on this page, further down, here are these customer testimonials, right? This is Horizon, and it kind of, animates it, scrolls it back and forth. Oops. So yeah, really nice one. And yeah, it's cool. You have all kinds of animation options. You can make it fast, you can make it slow. As you see, you can have it pause on hover and stuff like that. But there is no, like a traditional slider, like go to next slide, go to next slide. Horizon doesn't have that, okay? But it does give you this very interesting, very different, free flow, more of a free flowing scrolling container that you can then animate, okay? So Horizon, again, very different. And yeah, just different, something different. And if this is a style of something that you like, as you see on this one, I have all the content right next to each other, but over here I don't. They're kind of evenly spaced out. They're kind of cards. You can add whatever whatever content you want. In this case here, this is some Foundation 6 cards that I think just works really, really well. I love this implementation here. Okay. I thought I had like I guess I don't have it anymore. Interesting. I had a page once that had like, it was like all possible. I think it's in the Horizon demo file that has like all possible animations, and they're all on the same page, so they're all going. It's kind of a crazy page. It's definitely not something I ever put online, but as a demo, it was kind of interesting to look at. So if you have Horizon, check out that page. It's kind of interesting. Okay, let's go back here. Search for slide. Horizon. Oh, Tabulous. Yeah, Tabulous is really cool, actually. I think it was one of my most popular sliders for a very long time, and it's still pretty popular, actually. A lot of people buy it. And let's just go to the demo. What I like about it is it really gives a mixture of tabs and a slider. So it really merges the two together, right? So here, we can navigate to each slide with these these tabs. Has some really cool animations. So, Tabulous, while it's kind of meant to be a really fancy animated tab container, it definitely is a slider. Okay, so as you see here, you can still do the next slide thing, right? So, some different animations. You can style, as you see, the tabs can be here. They can kind of be floating above. You have a lot of options for these arrows as well. You can have them inside the tab container or kind of floating up with the tabs. And last but not least, you can kind of create these. You can build tabs with anything. So here I have some images. If you click on the image, I think maybe if you even hover over it. No, I don't. I think that's an option. So yeah, you can click on an image. It'll navigate the slider to that particular slide. Okay. So again, if this is something that you feel is an added more kind of a fancier tab interface, Tabulous is really cool. It's been around for a long time. It's very solid and very popular, and the animations in it are super fun, right? I love the up and down animations in this particular one. I've always enjoyed that. It's really nice. Okay. So Tabulous is a great option. And hey, if you don't know what tab soda is, that's kind of, I don't know, kind of cheeky or cheesy, a little cheesy, not cheeky, cheesy icon there. Okay. Go back. Screens is another. This is kind of like Screens is very different. Okay. This is another one that's kind of fringe slider. Okay, and it has an external demo. Let's check that out. And what Screens does is it kind of turns your entire website into a slideshow. Okay, so but it's a multi-dimensional slideshow. So here we scroll down, and then we scroll down again, and then here's a slide which we can then scroll sideways, and then you can scroll down, right? So screens is a great way to build if you want to have kind of a one-page website that is this interactive kind of slideshow site. Okay. Now, one of the caveats with screens is, I think the biggest setback that people attempt to do is they try to put in too many or too much content, I should say. Okay. I am showing my screen. Yes, I am. Cool. They're showing too much content, right? Because you have to make sure with screens that, while you can use responsive stacks to show and hide content on large or small, because of the nature of it, you'll notice that there isn't a lot of content on each slide. And you can have more than what I have here. I have very, very little content, okay? But screens is a really, really cool stack. You can even have this as an interactive page within a larger website, right? So I've seen a lot of people do that as well. Very effective, where you have a page, one page within your site uses screens, okay? Or again, like I said, you can use your entire website as this one page site layout. Very effective. There's actually some really cool stuff here. Let's go to the demos, the demo slide down here. Oops. I think my browser just froze. Oh. Animation, centered content, auto scale. Here it is. Is it? Oh no, I think it's in the impact demo. We'll get to it. Okay. Okay. There we go. That's screens. Video wall has a slider into it, but I wouldn't necessarily. We'll show you really quick. If you don't have video wall, it is an amazing way to automatically inject playlists of videos onto your web page. Okay. By default, it does a gallery of thumbnails that you can then click, right? But you can also have a slider of your videos, and then when we click on one, it'll play inside the static player, or it can also open up inside of a lightbox. Okay, so both work, but that's kind of why video wall is there. Okay, I'm not gonna really go over that anymore. All right, we're starting to get into some uber popular ones here. Okay, Impact is amazing. I think anyone that owns Impact will attest to how pretty awesome it is. Now, it's very, very different than any other slider. Okay. Actually, before let's show you probably right now my most popular slider on my site is Moving Box. And let's look at that one really quick first before I go to Impact. Let's look at the demo. All right. I'd say this Moving Box demo, while it's super simple, it's one of my favorite demos. Like, it's just a really amazing demo that shows all the power of Moving Box. It's really good. It's probably one of my best demos I have out there. Okay, so as you see here, you can have horizontal slides, you can do vertical slides, right? You can have this infinite scroll that sort of is like Horizon, but not really. Okay. You can do a fade animation. Okay, so there's a lot. You see all these have different sort of navigation icons, different styles. It's very flexible. Okay. And all of these, while all of these slides here just show letters and numbers, you can add whatever stack you want into Moving Box, which is very nice. Okay. Moving Box can also do carousels, right? So you can do you can move sets of slides. So as you see here, it moves 3 at a time, or you can kind of move 1 at a time. Okay. And then we also have a vertical carousel as well. So you can hear we're moving 3 at a time. And there we go. We can do, as I talked about earlier, how traditionally, if we look at a lot of these slides, right, the slider area is all fixed. It's all one size, right? But Moving Box is one of the stacks that allows you to have different height. So here we can do variable height slides. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'll admit it, say that up front. Because if you notice, when you have that variable height, if you notice look at the website content, the site is moving up and down, right? And I don't find that attractive at all. Once a website's loaded, I don't think content should be shifting around to make room for other content. Okay. So while variable height is there, I don't necessarily recommend it. Okay. But variable width can be interesting. Again, this kind of in this particular example, it's kind of very Horizon-esque a little bit, which is why a lot of people I get a question, what's the difference between Horizon and Moving Box? And essentially is Moving Box, again, if you notice, it moves one at a time, or it can move, maybe two or three at a time, right? But it's not this free-flowing container, which is where Horizon is different. Okay, the animations are also very different. Again, Moving Box kind of animates one slide in, or a set of slides in, where Horizon is very fluid. Okay, so just different concepts. Okay. Moving Box can also do a lot more like vertical, and it has a lot of other features that Horizon doesn't even do anything similar to that. We have center mode, where the navigation here is clicking on other slides, right? So there are no arrows per se, but you click on the various slides, or you can have it automatically do that, right? And where this center slide is kind of larger, it's focused, right? So you can apply different styles to these. Here we have overlapped, or it's simple. It's like center mode, but the slide is the center slide is less pronounced, and it kind of overlaps the side ones a little bit. Okay. And lastly, we have slider syncing. Okay, where we kind of like Superflex, where we can build these thumbnails. It's a little bit different. Obviously, the thumbnails in Superflex are nice. And more styled, but you can actually build out these to be whatever you want as well, right? These are just numbers or letters here, but again, you can add whatever stack you want in that. So you can add images and you can do a bunch of stuff, right? But Superflex does all that for you out of the box, right? So again, while Moving Box is definitely probably I would probably say it's my all-time most popular, I think. I know Tabulous and Cycler, which I haven't got to Cycler yet, are a very close second. I know we also have Impact. But then Superflex is new as well, so we'll see how Superflex performs. But they're all very different, okay? And that's kind of my point here. Let me go to... let's go to this one. Here's a very interesting implementation of Moving Box, where it kind of does that Superflexy sort of thing, where I have thumbnails down here at the bottom, and it changes not only the image, but also we have the buy button and some text here that changes. Okay. So Moving Box is a very popular, very versatile slider. Okay. Yeah, probably I would say in terms of multi-purpose use, I think Moving Box should be in everyone's toolbox. It is definitely, I think, my favorite, most versatile slider. Right? I think everyone should have it in their toolbox. Okay. So now that we've seen, one thing I wanted to talk about, traditional sliders. If you look here, these sliders, they're a part of the content. Okay. And the slider itself affects kind of the flow of the content, right? So the size of the slider is the size of its content, if that makes sense, right? Kind of like in Tabulous, how the size that slider takes up is dependent on the size of the content within it. Hopefully that makes sense. So what makes Impact different? So I wanted to go over Moving Box to kind of show you what a traditional slider, because I know that Moving Box demo is great to see what a traditional slider does. Okay. Impact is not traditional. It definitely is a slider. Okay. But it is far from traditional. Why is that? Okay. While other sliders affect the size and layout of your content, Impact you tell it what parts of the layout to fill, and Impact will fill it. Okay. For example, here we told Impact, Impact is great. As you saw, this full page hero slideshow showed up. Okay. And it is full page. And what's great is, it works, horizontally. It kind of scales and it tries to fit that image no matter the browser size. So on mobile, it'll look similar to that. If someone has a super small, why would someone browse websites in this manner? But there you go. As you see, Impact morphs its size to the allotted space that you give it. And then what it does is the images, and Impact supports video as well. Impact will fit that content, the image or video, inside of that and kind of center it and make it kind of, if you're familiar with background images, if you know the cover option, it kind of fills that or covers that image and video to fill that space. But you're not guaranteed to see all of that image inside Impact, right? These are more, so if you have data images, Impact isn't going to want to, you're not going to want to use Impact if you want to ensure that the entire image is always displayed, because Impact will not guarantee that. Okay. But let's refresh this page really quick. Another thing that's really, really awesome about Impact is this right there. That Ken Burns, not only the Ken Burns effect, but also the fade in. It is just butter smooth. That slideshow effect in Impact is awesome. Impact does have the ability to move side, like a traditional slider. But this is where the bread and butter is for Impact. That fade animation, even without the Ken Burns effect, the fade animation is just stunning. Okay, with Impact. Now in Impact, it has this cool scroll button so that you can use it kind of like a hero banner on a website, right? Which is very convenient. You can also make it so in this particular case, it isn't configured like that. But you can make it so like when you scroll down, it's then removed from the page, right? Something like that. Okay. Let's look at some other options for Impact. So here's another thing where I'm using Impact as the banner of my webpage. It has a video. In this particular case, it doesn't actually have slides. Okay. I only have one slide in there, so it's just static. Okay. So Impact is versatile. You don't need to use it as a slider per se. Okay. But as you see here, it just kind of grows with the web page. Oh, that menu doesn't look too great on mobile, does it? Bad developer. That video is always going to be scaled to fit whatever size container I give it. And this particular one is probably, 16 by 9 container or something like that, right? You can also use it here. This is kind of within the content. But if you notice, as I resize this window, something is up with this page. It's not responsive. I did something with this page. But that video, while I told it to do, I think this is a 4:3. Okay, so an aspect ratio of 4:3. So but these videos are 16 by 9, right? They're traditional 720p videos. And Impact makes sure that it always fits within the viewport area there. Okay, and while this might look like it's one video, it's actually multiple videos in a slideshow. Okay, so the videos within here are actually scaling, and they're sliding in between. So while that fade effect could be done in Final Cut or whatever, it's actually Impact. Okay, which is kind of cool. And then in the footer, here's another example of Impact, where this footer is actually Impact, and it's a slideshow. Okay. This was I talked about screens earlier, and Impact works really, really well with screens. As you see here, I'm using Impact as the background of my screens. Okay, so here I have a screens container, and Impact here is actually using a slideshow. This is multiple videos within the slideshow, right? So you can have video backgrounds, and this is just image slideshows. So Impact and screens work really, really, really well together. Okay. Totem Totem is a fun one. I've actually been thinking about trying to revamp Totem a little bit. And oops, this demo is broken, but it's essentially a vertical slider. Okay, Totem was the very first vertical slider of its kind. It's just this infinite scrolling. You can add whatever stacks you want into it. So here I have multiple column stacks. Okay, and then we scroll that vertically. There used to be an RSS reader built into Totem as well. Unfortunately, when Yahoo shut down all those APIs a couple years ago, that stack wasn't able to remain. But I hope to resurrect the RSS functionality one day. But Totem is a really nice scrolling container. I think this particular use case works great in like a sidebar to kind of maybe have some scrolling tips or tricks or something like that. Yeah, I do like it. It has multiple, basically up and down arrows. It ships with multiples of these, various colors. Yeah, it's a nice one. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Quick flip really isn't a slider. Let's go to Eclipse here. Let's go to the demo. Eclipse here is it allows you to do something similar. Now, from this demo, you might think, oh, this looks very similar to Impact, okay? Because Impact allows us to, create full header, or, that hero header slider or scanner or whatever, slider. But unfortunately, I made these demos have very little content to showcase the background. Where Eclipse is different is Impact does scroll with the web page. Okay, Eclipse does not. Okay, Eclipse is fixed to the background of your site. So let's see if I had. Unfortunately, I don't have a demo here that shows. But essentially, if I were to scroll, if these demos had content and I were to scroll, this background slideshow would be fixed. It wouldn't scroll with the content. Okay, so that's how. Oh man, I love this one. I forgot I created this demo. I remember taking that picture. That's my family. It's my son Josh. He's the one that has been helping me with the deals of the week. Although he's much older now. There they are. That's why I do what I do right there. Okay, so let's see. Here's the slideshow with overlay. Okay, so it has this if you can see that dotted overlay there. But again, all these are fixed to the background, so they won't scroll along with the website. So that's how Eclipse is different than Impact there. Okay, but as you see, it does do this slideshow. It's not a traditional slider, right? Because you can't like navigate through them. It's more of a accent, right? Kind of like Impact is. While Impact does have controls as well, I think Impact really shines with just letting it do its thing and not trying to use the controls. Okay, let's see. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Cycler. Now, I would say before Moving Box came along, I think Cycler was the cream of the crop for slider stacks. In terms of the basics, but Slider is still awesome. It still has a lot of features that I think are just really killer. Part of it are its animations that it has are just really amazing. I love these styles that I built for all of the navigation. I spent a lot of time building out the navigation components for Cycler. Cycler was probably the slider on my homepage for 8 or 9 years, and it's still rock solid. It's responsive. It's just a really good quality stack. Actually, I think the slider on the product pages, I think that is actually might be Cycler. It has a ton of navigation options in terms of these styled, arrows and bullets and whatnot. Just really, really, really slick stuff. And it has all kinds of really cool animations. I think the animations in Cycler are pretty awesome. You can also like link to specific slides. A lot of the sliders do that as well. You can link to specific slides and whatnot. But Yeah, Cycler is just another really, really good quality, stack, especially if you like some of these animations. This bounce animation is my favorite. I really like it. Okay. And the icon's cool too. Okay, we're getting down to the nub here. Gyro is interesting. Gyro is one where it has a very specific style. Okay. And if you wanted that style, well, then you're in luck because gyro is what you want. Okay. What it does is it is image only. So gyro is one of the few that sliders that I have that is image only. And as you see, as it's animating these slides, it goes from the last slide and then animates all the way back to the beginning. So it kind of rewinds and then it animates. And what's kind of cool about gyro is it has these little ribbons, right? So the navigation is very interesting. It has these ribbons that I've a lot of different styles, different colors of these ribbons that you can choose from. But this ribbon basically grows based on the number of slides, and you can click on the number to get to the very slide, right? So, yeah, gyro is just one of the things that if you like that, right? Well, then gyro's your thing, right? I mean, this little ribbon, it's very nice. It's elegant. And again, there are multiple colors and styles of these ribbons. You can have the ribbon on either side as well. So you get it on the left or the right. And it just, kind of scrolls through. It's nifty, right? And if that's something that you need or you would like, then this is the best slider for you, right? The title of this, hold on, let me get one more unique one before I go in kind of my closing thoughts here. This is one I actually noticed that I'm surprised I don't see this one more. Okay, because people tend to like really flashy effects, and this doesn't get much flashier than Samurai. Okay, so Samurai is really, really cool. Okay, and back in the day, it didn't work in every browser when I first released it, but now it works awesome in every browser. I should probably have to rename this or remove this line because it works great in everything now. So yeah, there's Samurai. Like, that is awesome. Like, even to this day, like, I see that and it's just like, what? Like, that is nuts balls. And it's responsive, works great on iOS. You can have vertical as well as horizontal. I guess I don't have a horizontal example. So you can have the slices spin this way. You can define the number of slices that you want. Like, this is just flipping cool. Like, I'm really shocked I don't see this more because it really is an attention grabber, right? On a web page. Yeah, and I am surprised that I don't see Samurai more because of how cool it really is. And it works really great. It does only support images because that animation needs to chop the content up, and images are just make that so much easier, right? So, and then obviously it has that caption that can animate in as well. Okay, but Samurai is definitely, flashy. It's not something you probably put on every website, but something that needs maybe a little wow factor. Samurai could be a great choice for that. So definitely have a look at Samurai if that's the case. Okay, and I think that was it for sliders. There is a slider in Foundation 6 comes with a slider. Total CMS comes with a slider. I'm not going to dive into those. Okay. Oops, I need to search for slide. Let's just verify. Yeah, Squeezebox isn't a slider at all. Okay, so that pretty much does it, right? Now, so the question is, like, what is the best slider? What is the best one? Well, the best one is the one that you want for your website, right? That's the best one for you. Like, if you wanted something flashy, Samurai, or if you liked Gyro, that's the best slider for you because that's the one that you like. That's the one you needed for your website, right? So, hopefully, kind of reviewing all the various sliders today you found it interesting maybe, to kind of see what options are out there and to know that there is no right answer, right? While I think Moving Box, like I said earlier, is extremely versatile, and I do feel everyone should have it because it is so versatile, it's not the end-all be-all of sliders, and neither is Impact, right? I mean, Impact is awesome and amazing unto itself, but it's not the end all be all as well, right? Because there are so many other options that can do things slightly differently that maybe will make your website better, right? So it's really just knowing what tools are out there or what tools you have in your toolbox and using the correct one. Okay. And I'm always open to feedback. If you, are using a slider or any of my stacks, okay, and you'd like to have it, see it improved a little bit, or you want to add some features, or maybe, steal some features from other slider. Again, if it's not possible, it might not be possible, but I'm always open to that. So please let me know. I'm here to make your websites great. Okay, I'm here to make some cool bricks and cool tools so that you can make amazing websites. And hopefully we're doing that. Let me see if there's any questions. I kind of haven't been watching the chat very well. After the row of pictures, after the row of pictures of a slider is coming to the end, it starts from the first picture. But it would be much nicer if the slide got in the further same direction in the first picture. I think you're talking about gyro, Gunter. Would that be possible I'm assuming you're talking about gyro. I didn't see when you typed that question. And basically having gyro go to like loop around. That could be possible. Yeah, I'll keep that. I'll add that to my notes, for the next version. Okay. So thank you very much for that feedback. So yeah, cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't see any other questions. So hopefully you enjoyed today. Just kind of get a review of what's out there and learning what could be useful for you. So hopefully we'll see you on the Hangout this Friday. Not sure. I've been working on some Total CMS 2 stuff. So I'm not going to leak any data here today, but I might leak some data on Friday. So if you want to join us on Friday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, so basically an hour from right now, but on Friday. So whatever that time is for you, hopefully we'll see you there. It's on Zoom. Go to the events page on Weaverspace, and there's a link right there, or just go to Weaverspace/Hangout, and that will take you into the Zoom meeting. Ooh, ow, I just hit my hand really hard on my mic. Okay. Hopefully we'll see you Friday, and hope you enjoyed today. If you don't join us on Friday, we'll see you next week at the live stream. Take care, everyone. See you on the community too. Bye.